Alright, so here we are. I'm meant to be filming other things today, but I just thought I'd have a bit of a look at where I'm at in terms of the lab and my life. Because actually, I'm moving out. This worries me slightly. The good news is this is at my parents' house now, and my parents aren't moving, so I don't have to move everything like this. It's just that I'm not going to be permanently living at this address in the house that this shed is attached to. Well, it's not attached to, but it's on the same block. The reason I'm moving out, I'm still doing my PhD at uni. This property is actually quite far away from the university, so I'm still travelling an hour each way to get to university, so that's 2 hours of travel time every day, which I've done for the past 5 years, but it's really grating on me now. So it might mean a little less lab time, I suppose, because I'm not here, most of the time, but I haven't been having much time to do stuff anyway over the past year. So I'm hoping that maybe if I cut down on travel time and kind of organise my life a little bit better, we might, in the long run, actually end up with more time to work on hobbies and that sort of thing rather than just spend them on the bus. It does, however, leave me at a certain bit of a weird point because as of, 2 days ago, I was living here. I could check in on the lab, every night if I needed to, or every day. I was here, and that kind of changed. I could store things in a way that I knew I could just come back and check on them all the time. But if I'm not going to be here for, say, a week or a little bit more, I need to kind of store things a little better. Future-proof it, in a sense. I used to store stuff in those old plastic containers, and they're not very good. Don't know about the labelling; it's pretty shoddy, and this shelving system here is dreadful. So there's a lot to improve in that sort of area. Okay, so this top drawer is pretty badly damaged. Second drawer's just come apart. Third drawer's mostly okay. Fourth and fifth drawers are fine. The sixth drawer's just cracked. But all in all, at least 3 out of the 6 drawers are fine, mostly. I think I should actually use this. And this cupboard, I still haven't done the repairs on it yet. This is all coming off. I reckon I know where to put these two things. I reckon that wooden shelf, that can come out. It's got some shelves down the bottom there, which are useful, but that will fit the wardrobe. And then those drawers, I reckon, can go where that table is, because that table is just useless. I don't even know why it's there. It's one of those things where you just put the table there temporarily, and then you put something on it, and then you can't move the table because something's on it, so it just gathers more things. So nitric acid I should get out of the sunlight kind of thing. The worst bit is, what's going to be in these drawers? I know vaguely what's in these drawers, but hopefully there's no wild surprises. These drawers are more populated than I remembered them being. Alright, what will we find? So these are all my organic acids really. So I've got citric acid, oxalic acid, sulfamic acid, salicylic acid, and some older salicylic acid, isocyanuric acid, some shitty glacial acetic acid, I'll throw that out, terephthalic acid, I'll probably keep that, why not? Benzoic acid, some aspirin. This is a bit of a surprise. Isopicramic acid. I probably should get rid of these two. Where are we? From 2016, I would believe. February 2016. Alright, so they're quite old. Probably classed as an explosive, so I'll get rid of them. Vinegar, there's my niacin from that pyridine video. Some phthalic anhydride. And also we have some indicators. What have we got here? I haven't ever really used any of these, but I've just methylene blue, methyl violet, indicator, methyl orange, litmus, some sulfuric acid. This is the first sulfuric acid I ever got. In 2014, I reckon. It was 30%, and I boiled it down to form this concentrated sulfuric acid. Quite a dangerous activity for me at the time. It's still dangerous, but I'm surprised I managed to pull it off. Some of the last batch that I distilled before I just went and bought some. So yeah, nothing too surprising apart from the picramic acid. On the top here, we've got ammonia, concentrated sulfuric, azeotropic nitric, shitty hypochloric. Thiosulfate. Yeah, I could probably get rid of that. That's probably all from the ozone titration videos. That's hot. Hey, look at that. Beautiful. So there's not as many like shelves in this one. Oh, it's also not all that stable. Time to do something about this area now. Yeah, like this is one of those things where I was gonna fix it and do a couple other things and come around to fixing it, and it was like 4 years ago now. So been sitting here rusting, but yeah, this is the kind of thing where as soon as I have a table, you know, like I put something down, I'm like, I'm gonna come back to that, and then I don't ever. What even is this stuff? Completely unlabeled, like just been sitting here for years. Dreadful, dreadful practices. Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember this. I was confused at what this motor was, but do you see this plastic bit's the tip of a spoon? This was the little like stirrer that I built before I had the heater stirrer. I mean, it was a good idea, but as always, it was just terrible engineering. It was either too fast or too slow, so it would either just like throw the solution everywhere or it would just stop. I am going to throw that out. I'm not keeping this. It does not, there's zero joy sparked when I look at this. There's a hammerhead on the end of a bit of string that goes over a pulley here. Well, I mean, it's steel wire, but goes over that pulley, which it's not threaded over properly. This was an early attempt at an impact tester. So the idea was that I would just pull this up to a certain height, so let it go, and it would hit the explosives. But I mean, it wasn't a dreadful idea, but once again, I'm held back by terrible engineering. It's just because this didn't fall straight. You know, it's not even falling even remotely straight at the moment. I never could get as consistent tests, and I will at least get the wire out. The pulley can stay attached to the roof. Oi, what are you doing in there? I nearly stepped on you. Are you okay? You gotta go. You can't stay here. What do you mean? Fuck up. So this here is the bases drawer, which I've now mostly cleared out, but I'm going to clear out completely because we're going to redistribute the bases between these two shelves, and also maybe just have an organics drawer. Common bases, uncommon bases, reducing agents, and organics. Some interesting finds, stuff I don't like finding, like completely unlabeled, you know, compound in a liquid that's in foil. The in foil bit's the scary bit because that implies it's silver, and silver implies that it's an explosive along the lines there, but at least it doesn't look like there's any solid in that tube. But once again, terrible work by younger me. Speaking of younger me, we have here, which is probably one of the oldest synthesized chemicals I still have. We can just read the label still. It says lithium hydroxide. If I can get this off with one hand. Well, I remember making this. I got those lithium strips from the batteries. Must have been like 2012, and was putting it in water, and then I evaporated it down, and then got some solid, and it was like, this is lithium hydroxide, and it looks like it's still got some, you know, mineral oil and stuff on it. But what I used to do was assign what I would call like a hazard number to it. So it was somewhere between 0 and 5. So 0 meant that I could eat it. It was like salt. 5 meant stupendously dangerous. Lithium hydroxide got a 3. Obviously not, that's not a very good system. You know, like I pick it up and I notice it's got a 3, you know, like that's meaningless. So I don't think that system lasted very long, especially seeing as I was just randomly assigning it. I'm like, oh, is this a 3 or a 4? Oh, it can be a 3, sure, whatever. And yes, it is in a urine sample jar. Mum used to get stuff from the hospital. Obviously unused, sterile. This here is a Ziploc bag filled with a liquid. And the label vaguely says potassium hydroxide. So at one point this was potassium hydroxide flakes in 3 layers of Ziploc bags. Over a couple of years, it's just going to turn into a puddle of liquid, which it has. So yes, I'm going to throw this out. This was donated by a friend in Victoria. What was it? What's his name? The Australian scientist? Someone. Oh, where did he go? I meet so many people on YouTube and then they just disappear off the internet because they move on with their lives, and I'm stuck here having not moved on with my life. But he donated potassium hydroxide and magnesium powder for the potassium synthesis back when that was really all the rage a couple of years ago. I mean, it's come back in again because of nerd rage, but it was a big deal. But I could never get it to work, so potassium hydroxide sat on the shelf and gathered water. Sodium ethoxide, early 2016. I remember this. Yeah, I put all that sodium in the ethanol, and it reacted really violently, and then slowly over the next year went to this horrible red color. And then Chemplayer did the same video, but his video was a lot better than mine, and I don't know, that's what I remember. Why did I need this? Do you know, I actually extracted this from wood ash. Like, I got like a whole bucket full of ash, and I like went to extract the potassium carbonate from it. God, what a time. What a waste. I'm absolutely throwing that out. Alright, so it's got a band on one of its legs. Why do I have a racing pigeon in my shed? Mate, you're not winning the race. Mate, you're not winning. You are the slowest goddamn racing pigeon I've ever seen. Come on. You're meant to be an elite athlete. What are you doing? Stop eating. Race. Race. Meant to be organising today, but my goddamn pump's got a leak. I mean, it's actually had a leak for a couple of weeks now. Probably ever since I changed the oil. But it's definitely leaking out of, like, there. So, fucking... that's what I'm spending today doing. Fixing the bloody pump. I mean, it's necessary. I've just been leaking oil out onto the floor, which is not good. But, it's taking up all my time. I reckon there's an internal seal. It was leaking here, and was a rubber O-ring. There's so many pieces now. Where are we? This rubber O-ring looks okay, not great, but okay. But I reckon there's still another internal one in here, but I can't get this plate off. I'll probably need to take this lid off before I take the plate off. So I'm actually taking it really, really apart now, and I'll probably be able to look at the oil cavity. And because I had to drain the oil, obviously it's leaking oil that I didn't drain completely, but yeah, I had to drain all the oil, and it was still a little bit lumpier at the bottom. So maybe actually having access to this oil cavity might be really good, because it might be still filthy in there and might actually be able to clean it properly. But yeah, there's a lot of screws to undo. There's screws here, and then, like, you know, there's little bits like that needs an Allen key, and so I just managed to get the screws off for this bit. So this is the intake, and look, it's got a little sieve, catching sieve. That shit in there. Put this over here with the rest of the big pile of stuff, but look at that. Stuff that has stopped getting sucked into the oil, but didn't know that was there, but now I do. Now I will check it a bit more regularly. Alright, well, that's what that plug does. So you can just drain the oil from the bottom there. That's gross. Gross as. It's so lumpy. Of course, we can take this apart further there, and of course this is filled with shit too. Alright, managed to get the lid off. So this comes out here. So I reckon if we take that bit off there, those screws, I can get this bit off, and then this bit out the front, because we're trying to get internally into there. I reckon an O-ring is in there, as long as it's not too greasy. Oh yeah, it's all good. Hey,
there it is. Right, so see, then take all these bolts here off.
Yeah,
that takes that faceplate off. Yeah, takes.
All right, and then the faceplate, and then you can get
access all the.
Yeah.
But none of that's all sludge. None of it's gritty or anything, right? So it's.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was obviously running. It's running perfectly with all that in there.
Degrees of stuff, and you can clean it all up and trick the pump. That's what it does. Vane. So it's our
vane there.
Just keep all that inside, because that's all little springs and stuff in there. So just keep that all together.
But that looks really good. In good condition.
Yep. It's in. Alright, see.
Alright, I got my heavy duty degreaser, which I think is the right thing for this job. This is all put back together, cleaned. Everything's fine like that. So let's reassemble everything. Clean it and reassemble. That's what's on the agenda for today. That is looking much cleaner. So now I can go about, looks like I've greased up the camera lens. Oh well, now I can go about, yeah, you can see that reflection there. Anyway, I can go about putting in that, actually the actual turbine. Turbine, that's not right, the word. The vanes back in the cavity. Just started putting it back together. I'm fucking already missing a screw. Got so many. Back on, I think. It's something like this. It should all. Yeah. I think I've remembered everything. Maybe. Alright, I really am fumbling my way through this. See, these screws don't quite fit in between there. That's because these screws and these screws need to be swapped over. No, I'm wrong. These screws don't fit either. That must be the other screws, but something else goes here. Oh, that's right. It's the O-ring. It's that big O-ring. This is a good why I filmed it, because I can go back and look at the footage I filmed and see what it looked like originally. The fucking gasket. The gasket. Alright, time to take that lid back off again. No. Alright, it's mostly assembled. So before we fill it with oil, we might as well just turn it on to see if it still works first. That's a joke, by the way. We're actually going to fill it full of oil first. Let's fill it with oil, and hopefully there's no leaks or anything like that. And then we can start thinking about whether we actually want to turn it on again. Alright, it's all put back together. There's oil in it. I'm nervous, but let's turn it on. It's not a very good sound. Alright, I'm a little bit unconvinced, but we've got the probe in here, so we're seeing if we can actually pull a vacuum. It is putting out air without pulling a vacuum, so I must be pulling in the air from somewhere else. And I think it might be this, because this looks wrong, right? Like I've just had this on that bit, you know, there on that seal, and it seems weird to have like an external O-ring, so that must be wrong. I must have got the order of this wrong. Alright, that seems more correct. Subtle change. Oh, it still looks a bit weird, doesn't it? Maybe. I think that might be right, though. Alright, it's pulling vacuum, but it's not as good as it used to be. Yeah, this stuff down here, because if I wobble this, I can get it down to better vacuum, so these screws must not be tightened. So I'll go around and tighten everything up. Alright, another thing. See, this bit is meant to go all the way down into there. All the way down there. But see, there's an O-ring in between. This is probably really hard to see. It's very dark. But yeah, there's an O-ring that's stopping that from sliding all the way in there. It's probably because I've tightened that too much. The O-ring is expanding too much and it's not letting me get that in. So, seems like a job for tomorrow. It's too cold. I'm going to go inside. Alright, so that fixed it. Still making that awful rattle, but it's now getting down even lower. And then I can sacrifice some vacuum for the air ballast here. And if I crank that out, we lose some total vacuum. But it also lets air in other areas into the pump. So if we're vacuuming like a whole lot of water or something, we don't want to go directly in the pump, I can mix that in with some air from elsewhere, which is what this air ballast knob allows us to do. Hey, look at that. I got some new shelves. And they fit with millimeter precision, even though I kind of just vaguely judged it at the store. Okay, I mean, it's kind of a lie because these things used to have handles on them like that. But that extra like millimeter or two actually stuck it out. It doesn't fit perfectly still. Right, ignore the mess, but the vacuum pump is back underneath the bench there. I put it in foam housing just to maybe reduce the rattle a little bit. And now if it leaks oil, which I don't think it's doing, but if it does, then it just gets into that foam. It doesn't actually spill onto the ground, which it has been doing, obviously, as you can see there. It's very hard to clean. So there's some added complexities here, and this is something that I've always actually wanted to do, but never had the glassware to do it. But now I do. I've got some fancy adapter here. This isn't what the adapter's for, but it's what I'm using it for. So if I flick on the pump, so turn the pump, and then also turn on the probe here, that probe turns on, and then that is leading all the way down into there. Here, that, and I can close this top valve. I just blocked the exit port here, vacuum there, and now we can see we actually get a reading of the vacuum. So we've got like a monitoring port which I can turn off, so I can check what the pump is actually pulling when I'm doing something. So retro, thanks Monty. Also, I've had a lot of suggestions to put an oil filter on the output ports so I don't get so much oil into my lungs and around the place. And that's a very good suggestion, and I should do that. It's on my list of very good suggestions to do, which also include actually tying that oxygen cylinder to the wall. I keep in on that. I'll get to it. I bloody well get to it, alright? Alright, it's pretty late at the moment, but this video has been going on for 4 weeks by now. It probably won't be edited together to look like it's across 4 or 5 different weeks, but here we are. I feel like we've achieved what we set out to achieve. I now have a spot for my glassware. There's new cupboards. The cupboards have things in them like, oh look, equipment. Look, oh, it's an ozone generator. Beautiful. Or I come over here and I'm like, oh, I want my glassware in this cupboard, you know. Distillation adapters or distillation heads sort of thing. Or this thing at the top here contains all my stoppers. Like, I will increase security. I'm sure lots of people have complaints about security for this place, but I will increase it. I mean, it's not too bad at the moment. I obviously don't show those bits on camera where the security is. Yeah, the video's been a bit of a shambles, really. But yeah, this is really what I do on a week-to-week basis. There's so much maintenance. Should get rid of the saws as well. Nah.